This is one in a series of films created by HealthPad with funding support from the Growth Hub. These films are designed to give you useful information about a practice that will be of benefit to your mental and physical health. You may have considered trying it out in the past, but wondered if it was really for you, or whether you would be fit or able enough to join a group or a class. We hope that what you see and hear in this film will reassure you and inspire you to make contact with your local teacher or group. The practitioners featured in these films are based in Cornwall, and their contact details are shown in the credits. However, you should be able to find someone local to you wherever you live.
I think we're living in a world where people are increasingly sedentary. People spend more and more time sat looking at screens. We also come from a culture in which, as young people, we're praised for sitting still. The reality is that young children learn through moving. So we're in a culture that has inherited a splitting off of how we think and how we feel. Tai Chi is a way of bringing those two things back together in one place. Tai Chi's got a lot of connections to other mindfulness practices, obviously, like meditation, yoga. I think the principal difference with Tai Chi is, as you learn Tai Chi, you're learning about how to find quality of stillness within movement, and conversely, movement within stillness. Tai Chi, for people who are not familiar, it's probably something that you've seen in images of China or Beijing, or where you have an early morning shot of a park and people moving very slowly and gracefully, sometimes together, sometimes solo. It's a very slowed down kata, this kind of thing that you would see in karate, but very slow and very graceful. So my personal journey into Tai Chi came on the back of playing sport and athletics as a young man. And I realised that as a sports player, that the things that interested me were those moments of beauty within the game. So the timing of a pass, or the interplay between, or the use of space. These were things that really fascinated and engaged me. And as I got a little bit older, I began to feel dissatisfied just playing sport. And a friend said, why don't you come and see what this class is like? This was in the early 80s, so Tai Chi was still very little known. And I went along and I saw this movement form which seemed to hold the requirements of physicality that I saw in sport with an aesthetic, an art form, and I instantly fell in love with it. Tai Chi is often associated with stress management. In Tai Chi, rather than a series of exercises, we're looking at how we connect with the sensation of the body in movement, the body in stillness. Stress is really about sensation that takes over. Stress is where thought and sensation get entangled in the body. In Tai Chi practice, becoming familiar with and understanding where sensation is in your body and how you can guide it and how you can channel it is, in a way, the route to undoing stress. So rather than simply being captured by a sensation that overtakes the body, we're in a place where eventually you recognize the sensation and then you can take it somewhere.
I've been practicing Tai Chi off and on for about 34 years. I started initially, I think, because I was interested in meditation. And to me, what I'd learned about Tai Chi before that, to me it was like a walking meditation. So over the years, it's taken me through a very dark period of my life where it kind of just smoothed the pathway through, and it helped me to sleep. Another phase of my life, it helped me to relax and de-stress. It helped me to recover from burnout when I'd had several years of high stress. And I think most recently, it's helped me to train my body to relax and therefore be less stressed. Why do I carry on? Because it just feels so good, you know, to have that relaxation, you know, during times when it's difficult to relax is really beneficial. And the people you meet, they're all in the same boat, you know, really, always very friendly. So it's lovely to make new friends that way as well.
So we're in a culture that has inherited a splitting off of how we think and how we feel. Tai Chi is a way of bringing those two things back together in one place. Very often, if we're lucky enough to have a pastime that we can get engrossed in, and it might be painting, it might be walking, it might be music. If we're lucky in those pursuits, we may at times come into what might be termed a flow state, where we're not thinking anymore, we're in the activity and we're enjoying it, but the stress or the distractions seem to go away. But for most of us, finding our way into that flow state is unheralded, it's accidental. We're glad when it happens. Tai Chi is really a practice which encourages us to find that state and then to prolong it. And once we are able to identify it, to evoke it, to be in it, and then to extend it, we can then also begin to explore it. So rather than it just being a calm state, it becomes a state in which we can do things.
It's such a wide-ranging exercise, really. It's not just physical exercise. While you do it, you've got to concentrate so much. So you're using all your powers of concentration, and it's made me aware of my body more, my arms and legs, what they're doing and how they move. And I found it really interesting. Obviously, I've got osteoporosis, which means you can't really do much. You've got to be careful what sort of exercise you do. Load-bearing exercises are out, for example. So Tai Chi is an ideal exercise. It's gentle, and it's particularly the emphasis is on balance. And I found it's really helpful to me, yes.
Traditionally, Tai Chi was taught to older students who had already experienced two other martial arts, Xingyi and Bagua. And these are dynamic, fast movements, more suitable for younger bodies. Tai Chi in the West, we've seen its application more for elderly or older people or people interested in meditation. So it's difficult to teach Tai Chi to younger students simply because their bodies are designed to move. So trying to get them to move slowly all the time is not always straightforward. But for most people, Tai Chi is not only a very beautiful and challenging form, but it's one that gets better as you get older. And that's quite rare, I think, in physical activity, to be able to be engaged in something that you can take with you as you age.
I feel as if it's helped me rehabilitate from arthritis. I had an inflammatory arthritis at the age of 42, I believe it started. And for 9 years I didn't practice anything. At the time I was still taking quite a lot of painkillers regularly, especially at night, in the evening to sleep, and I had good days and bad days. But over the time I've been practicing, I'm completely off any painkillers now. And my movement I was as stiff as a board when I started, and I can move quite well now. Well, I hope I can. I should be able to by now. And also because I'm teaching, I need to be able to do it reasonably well myself. But it's a lifelong study potentially. I mean, people take it as far as they wish to, but just simply from the act of moving around and moving your body and connecting the body, all the parts of the body together into one unit, and then using the mind to absorb into that as well, and finding your balance.
The first stop, I would say, would be to contact the Tai Chi Union of Great Britain to find teachers in your area. All of those teachers will have been certified, and they might be beginner teacher or they might be a senior teacher, but at least you know you can find someone who has some kind of standing. It doesn't mean that every teacher you come across has to be a member of that union, but it's a good place to start. Once you have learned the Tai Chi form, that might take anywhere between 9 or 19 minutes to complete. It can be done at different paces at different times. We do lead busy lives, but on the journey of learning Tai Chi, hopefully you begin to identify the spaces that you can put aside for that practice. But even a beginner can practice certain exercises. So a lot of the balancing work you can do when you're brushing your teeth, when you're waiting for the kettle to boil. The awareness of posture and tightness in the shoulders, you can be aware of that when you're reading a newspaper or eating. So as you begin to understand what the form is teaching you, you can practice it pretty much anywhere. The form, you need to put aside time, and ideally, once you've learned the form, you want to be doing it maybe twice a day, ideally in the morning and in the evening. What I enjoy most about the practice of teaching is when somebody comes into the class and they are clearly at odds with their body. I very much like the moment where I look at that person and think, what am I gonna do? How am I? And then a year or 2 years on, that person is moving with grace, with composure. Or when somebody comes in who is very nervous and nervy, and you see them shift from that state into a place where they're moving and they don't look afraid. I think it's those journeys that really are kind of fascinating for me as a teacher. One of the important things with Tai Chi is that there are many different styles and there are many different approaches. I would say that if you're interested in studying Tai Chi, is to visit a number of different classes so that you can get a feeling of, does this feel right? Do I like the way this teacher is teaching? Do I like the look of the form? But to visit a number of different classes or go to workshops before you settle for a class where you're going to invest time and energy.